Hey everybody, welcome to So You Think You Want to Start a Nonprofit. A few things to consider before taking the plunge. This presentation is brought to you by GrantSource. Let us help you bring your nonprofit ideas to life. So, what we're going to be talking about today, first of all, I'm Shatan Denis, the owner of GrantSource and your facilitator for this presentation. And what we're going to be talking about today is what it means to be nonprofit, what it takes to start and manage a successful nonprofit business, because a nonprofit is a business and we want to treat it as such. We'll be talking about the nonprofit business model. A lot of people are confused about how to actually make the nonprofit work to their advantage. So we're going to talk about business models, the licensing and legal requirements for starting a nonprofit, and then we'll look at a couple of examples of how you can determine whether or not your business idea is actually going to work and if it's going to be profitable because you want your business to be profitable. We'll look at a group home example because a lot of people ask me questions about starting a group home, and then we'll look at a mentoring program and compare the two so you can see what each business model looks like. All right, so what does it actually mean to be 501c3 nonprofit? The first thing is that a nonprofit can earn a profit. A lot of people think a nonprofit can't earn a profit. Just because the term is nonprofit doesn't mean that the organization is not a business, and it doesn't mean that you can't earn a profit. The nonprofit can earn a profit. So that's first and foremost. The second thing is that two models are essentially the same, except for a few differences. So each one of them can sell a product and or services, and each one you can be your own boss. Now, for the nonprofit, technically you're not your own boss because the board of directors has ultimate responsibility and they have the authority to hire and fire the executive director. However, when you start a nonprofit, you do have creative flexibility. So I'm saying you can be your own boss here because you can make decisions pretty much on your own without having to go through a chain of command. So that's what I mean by being your own boss. So those are the two things that are pretty much the same for each business structure, with the exception for the nonprofit can receive tax-deductible gifts. So if some donor writes you a check, gives you cash, or donates some type of property, they can write that off on their taxes and possibly reduce their tax liability. Next is profit distribution. For-profits, they can do whatever they want with their profits. Nonprofits are restricted to IRS tax law and how they distribute profits. So when I talk about nonprofits being able to make a profit, yes, nonprofits should have revenues that exceed their expenses. However, that amount that's left over has to be distributed in a way that's in accordance with IRS tax law. So employees cannot be overcompensated. They're called excessive. They can't be excessively compensated with profits. They can't pay out big bonuses like for-profits do when they pay their directors and their execs, $1 through $10 million bonuses. That's not allowed in the nonprofit arena if it's not a practice that the other nonprofits are doing with regularity. So there's no outline conduct. The standard is what are the nonprofits in the industry doing across the board, and so anything outside of that is going to be looked at as excessive. And so in terms of profit distribution, that's the other primary distinction between the for-profit and the nonprofit. The next thing is nonprofits are exempt from certain taxes. And to find out what these exemptions are, you want to contact a CPA. And then the last difference is that it's implied that the nonprofit exists for the social good. A business can start and can be launched with any particular purpose. A for-profit doesn't have to have a social benefit in mind. With the nonprofit, in order for the organization to be deemed tax exempt, it must exist for the purpose of improving some social condition.